Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member Murray, and good morning, Dean Acosta. Nice to see you here. I will just add support to the comments you've heard from, I think, just about everybody on the committee about the importance of job training. It's critical to the state of New Hampshire, as is our Job Corps Center, which is one of the newest, if not the newest, Job Corps Center in the country. And I had the opportunity to be at its first graduation just recently, and it was great to see the lives that were changed through that Job Corps Center. So I hope you will do everything, should you be confirmed, to support both job training and our Job Corps Centers. I wanted to focus a little bit about the importance of OSHA to the men and women who constitute our country's workforce. Strong and targeted enforcement by the Labor Department not only saves lives, but also saves valuable resources for employers. A substantial body of empirical evidence demonstrates that OSHA inspections reduce injury rates at inspected workplaces and lowers workers' compensation costs to the tune of billions of dollars annually. The Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration has about 45% fewer inspectors today than it had in 1980, when the workforce was almost half of current levels. In New Hampshire, we have only 7 OSHA inspectors to oversee safety and health at 50,000 work sites. With these numbers, it would take OSHA 122 years to inspect every workplace in New Hampshire just once. President Trump's budget blueprint proposes to cut DOL's budget by 21%. Can you commit that if confirmed as Secretary, you'll advocate for and seek funding that will maintain OSHA's enforcement budget at no less than current levels?
Senator, I can certainly commit that let me come at it this way. I would be very concerned in a situation like you mentioned, where there are only 7 inspectors, because going from 7 to 6 has a substantial impact, right? Can I commit to no less than current levels? That's a very precise statement, and something is going to have to give somewhere in the budget. My background is a law enforcement background. Mm-hmm. I think that worker safety is incredibly important. I mentioned it in my opening statement for a reason. Yep. And I would have a lot of concern if the number of inspectors in any one area fell to the point where they could not do their job.
Thank you. I want to move on to the area of making sure that we are including more people who experience disabilities in this country in the workforce. Section 14C of the Fair Labor Standards Act authorizes employers to pay subminimum wages to workers who experience disabilities. Oftentimes, this type of employment occurs in a secluded environment, some might say segregated environment, known as a sheltered workplace. In 2015, with the support of the New Hampshire business community, New Hampshire was the first state to eliminate the payment of subminimum wage, and there have been efforts in Congress as well to end this practice. So, first of all, do you support this practice of paying people who experience disabilities subminimum wage?
Senator, I certainly support the authority of any state to eliminate that. And with respect to at the federal level, I think this is a very difficult issue because you don't want to disrespect individuals in any way by the very phrase subminimum wage is a disrespectful phrase. Yet you want to provide incentives or systems to ensure that individuals that might not otherwise have a job have access to a job and are trained into a job. And I think that's a very difficult balance that I'm happy to have a further discussion about.
I hope we can, because I think it isn't the phrase subminimum wage that's disrespectful. It is disrespectful and frankly discriminatory to pay people who are qualified to do a job subminimum wage on the basis of the fact that they experience a disability. So I think it's going to be really important that we continue this conversation. I think if you go back and look at the work of the National Governors Association, for instance, around this, you find a lot of it was employers who came to us and said, this is a population that's doing the job. Why are we paying them? Why are we allowed to pay them sub-minimum wage. And so I would look forward to working with you on that. I do have additional questions, but I understand we'll have a second round. Thank you, Mr.
That's
Chairman.
correct. Thank you, Senator Hassan.